At Matisse, we have a large range of mediums that help make the paints more versatile, and you can achieve a myriad of different finishes and effects using these different mediums. I'll run through them roughly in chronological order and try and give you a quick overview of what each medium does. The first medium, drying retarder. This is simple enough. It slows the drying time of the paint. And as you can see here, it also helps you to blend the paint, both by dispersing the paint a little bit, the colours into each other, and also allowing more time to actually blend. So we have here just the paints, mixing them together, and here the drying retarder. Moving on, if we're working in we want to work with the acrylics like watercolours, or indeed through an airbrush, using a little bit of drying retarder that we just talked about is useful, but also surface tension breaker. The surface tension breaker is mixed with water and then the paint diluted with that. The paint does not then need to be diluted nearly as much, and so we have much stronger colours, much more intense colours, but still with a thinner viscosity. Heading the other direction, when we want to thicken the paint up, is Impasto medium, MM2, and indeed gel medium. Impasto medium is a thick, full-bodied modelling compound that will dry translucent to opaque. You can mix the paint with the Impasto medium or paint over the top of it, but it will dry to quite a matte finish. It won't change the colours too much, however, obviously anything that you add to the paint that isn't more of the same paint will change the colour slightly. The gel medium, on the other hand, dries to a gloss finish, and you would normally mix the colours in with the gel medium. The gel medium won't dry quite as high as the Impasto, but dries, as I say, to a very high gloss finish, and is really useful for doing glazes and that sort of thing. Number 5, the matte medium. This is a medium. Only add it to the paint. Do not try and varnish with it or put it over the top of the paint. It's very hazy. It's 100% matting agent. If you need to matte the colours right down, you may well see here, on the right hand side has had matting agent added to it, and this is the sheen of the colours normally. Mix whatever parts you like, but normally about 20% of the matte medium to the paint will suffice. And this will matte the colours right down for photography or any other use where you want the colours to be extremely matte. We'll talk about the varnishes. We make 3 different types of varnish. There is water-based acrylic varnish, water-based polyurethane varnish, and a solvent-based acrylic varnish. They obviously all have different purposes. The water-based acrylic varnishes can be mixed in with the paint itself as a medium. They come in matte, gloss, and a satin finish. Or, of course, diluted with a little bit of water and used as a varnish over the top. These are also used for decoupage, to adhere or to seal the paper first, then adhere the paper to the substrate, and then actually varnishing over the top. You can put as many coats on as you like. The water-based polyurethane varnishes are very hard varnishes, so generally not used for canvas, and also they're heat resistant. So for utility items like placemats and teapot stands, they're perfect. The solvent-based acrylic varnishes, once again in a matte, a gloss and a satin, are used to go over the top of the work and can be stripped back off. Normally, the copybook way of finishing a painting would be to coat the painting with the water-based acrylic varnish first, 1 or 2 coats, obviously after they're dried, to put the solvent-based varnish over the top. The solvent-based varnish dries differently from water-based varnishes. Water-based varnishes dry with little crevices and tiny capillary holes that will allow water, moisture and rubbish from the air to get in to the top of the varnish, and it makes it quite hard to clean. These solvent-based acrylic varnishes can actually be stripped back off, and so they're perfect for cleaning. Down the track, conservators might come along, strip that varnish off. The water-based varnish protects the painting, and this can be done as many times as is necessary. The solvent-based varnishes, because they're completely impervious to water or anything else, are also perfect for projects that are going to go outside, and indeed for murals and that sort of thing. Because they can be stripped back off, they have UV inhibitors in them. UV inhibitors eventually will break down in time, and so these can be stripped back off and then a clean coat of varnish put over the top. Moving along now, spreader medium. Spreader medium, the best way to think of this medium is as a thick water. It has no real texture once it has dried, and it's to thin the paint out and allow time to manipulate and move the paint around. The difference can be seen here between spreader medium and surface tension breaker, which we talked about before. The surface tension breaker helps to disperse the paint, whereas the spreader medium will leave the paint very much the way it's laid down. Number 9, acrylic painting medium. This is straight binder, and although a lot of people use water with acrylics as the main medium, the problem with doing this is that the acrylics themselves are the binder, the glue part of the paint. When you reduce this down any more than somewhere between 30 and 50%, you will find that the binding capability of the acrylic may not be as strong as it should otherwise be. Normally, artist grade acrylics should be totally water fast. However, if you add too much water, i.e. over 50% water, you will find that the paints may actually become water sensitive. So to increase the water resistance at least, add acrylic painting medium, either equal parts in the water that you're using or straight acrylic painting medium. This is also a terrific glue, and it's nearly as thin as water. The Matisse range of gessos. We have MM10, our standard, quite thick viscosity gesso, great for troweling onto canvas or watered down and put onto raw canvas as well. We have a black version of that gesso, and then a low viscosity gesso which has the same amount of solids or the same amount of pigment and other materials in it as the original gesso, but just a lot thinner in viscosity. So it means it goes down on the canvas much more easily with a brush. Transparent gesso, although not drying completely clear, has the most amount of tooth of all these gessos. If you want to increase the tooth of these 3 gessos, then you add transparent gesso to it, or you can use transparent gesso by itself. A low tooth range of coloured gessos are the background colours. With over 40 colours in the range, these make a terrific background if you're used to painting on the same coloured background every time. And as a surface to paint on for charcoal or pastels, you can mix the transparent gesso with the background colours to give a coloured primed surface that's got some real tooth to it.